I'd like to talk to you about Stephen D'Angelo, advocate, entrepreneur, and educator, and his mission to advocate for medical marijuana. Medical marijuana is the hotbed issue circulating in the nation, and Stephen D'Angelo has been the driving force and spokesperson for the cannabis marijuana movement. What would you do if the only substance that helped your condition was illegal to possess? Would you continue to suffer, or would you purchase the substance and take the chance of possible arrest? According to my audience analysis, out of 18 people asked, no one had heard of Stephen D'Angelo before. And regarding the medical marijuana issue, 12 were neutral, 4 agreed, and 2 disagreed, the major concern being abuse of the system. Stephen D'Angelo is a person that made it his life mission to advocate for the use of medical cannabis and to allow people afflicted with glaucoma, chronic arthritis, seizures, and epilepsy the opportunity to effectively treat the pain and symptoms of these medical conditions. He refuses to call it marijuana and prefers to use the clinical name cannabis. Medical marijuana is the hotbed issue circulating the nation, and Stephen D'Angelo has been the driving force and spokesperson for the cannabis movement. When the issue of medical marijuana comes up, Stephen D'Angelo is a name on everyone's tongue, including the federal government. Stephen has fought long and hard to bring the advantages of cannabis to light in the American society. I have followed this issue and researched the cannabis movement as a way to familiarize myself with the issues facing states that have had this brought before their legislative branch. I would like to share with you some of the key points in my following presentation. Stephen D'Angelo will start in advocacy, being an entrepreneur, an educator, the state and federal issue of law, and the future of cannabis in the U.S. So let's start at the beginning, and Stephen D'Angelo's mission to advocacy. Championing the cause of cannabis for medical use is Stephen D'Angelo, self-proclaimed advocate, entrepreneur, and educator. But how did he get a start in advocacy in social causes? He was born in 1958 in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. His parents worked for the Peace Corps and were very active in the civil rights movement. At an early age, he began skipping school to attend anti-war demonstrations. He organized to take over the school gymnasium for an anti-war demonstration in the 7th grade. At 16 years old, he dropped out of school to join the Yippies, the Youth International Party, and helped to organize the annual 4th of July smoke-in in the front of the White House. He returned to complete his education and graduated from the University of Maryland. He was instrumental in the cannabis issue passed in California in 1996 and Initiative 59 in Washington, D.C., which had majority vote, but was overruled by congressional veto. D'Angelo next went on to the business side of the cannabis issue. Stephen was also active in entrepreneurships and founded numerous companies. In 1990, he founded Ecolution, a pioneering company that manufactured hemp clothing and accessories and exported them to retail stores in all 50 states and in 21 foreign countries. In 2006, he launched the Harborside Health Center, a medical cannabis dispensary recognized for its holistic care clinic, laboratory-tested medicine, and low-income care package program, which provided free samples for low-income patients. In 2007, he founded Steep Hill Labs, California's premier medical cannabis analysis laboratory, for the screening and quality assurance of medical cannabis. D'Angelo decided at this point to use his knowledge to help others. D'Angelo felt that an important part of his mission was to educate society to the uses of cannabis, the medical benefits of cannabis, and the necessary steps to properly regulate and dispense cannabis in a structured environment, incorporating local, state, and federal law. The medical benefits of marijuana for patients with glaucoma, epilepsy, and chronic arthritis are well documented and researched by the American Medical Association. Stephen has been interviewed by every major network news agency for his knowledge and research in the medical cannabis industry, and has articles featured in the New York Times, the Washington Post, Associated Press, the Wall Street Journal, British Broadcasting Corporation, and Fortune magazine. D'Angelo decided to use this experience to fight City Hall and beyond. The medical cannabis movement has been fighting for legitimacy against local, state, and federal agencies, and the laws that are determined to neglect public opinion. Local regulations refer to zoning issues in regards to schools, churches, and daycare centers. State laws refer to regulation, taxation, and building codes. And federal law pertains to the fact that marijuana is labeled as an illegal substance and banned for possession, sale, or use. The Internal Revenue Service, Department of Justice, Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms each have expressed the desire to shut down these establishments regardless of the licensure of the state. The interesting aspect of the situation is that the U.S. Constitution guarantees each state the right to make its own laws and to govern their citizens accordingly. Now, California was the first state to legalize marijuana for medical use, and it exercises independent status to enact this law within its borders. So what does the future hold for medical cannabis? Stephen DeAngelo continues to advocate for legalized dispensaries and was instrumental in the passage of state law in almost every case. He's quoted as saying, "I am an agent of change who's working to bring the truth about the cannabis plant to the rest of the world." Currently, there are 16 states and Washington, D.C. that have enacted laws to legalize medical cannabis. There are an estimated 1 million medical cannabis patients nationwide, and the tax revenue is in the hundreds of millions. DeAngelo uses these figures to boost the standings of legal dispensaries in states that are struggling with financial debt and deficit. His Harborside Health Center is the second largest taxpayer in Oakland, California. So in conclusion, Stephen DeAngelo has devoted his life to causes that raise social awareness to the underprivileged, the impoverished, and the unrepresented. The cannabis issue is only one of such causes, but it is the one that is most visible and most controversial. It appears to be Stephen DeAngelo's sole purpose to be the driving force behind the cannabis movement. And as the spokesperson, he makes society and government take notice and listen. Regardless of your personal views on medical cannabis, it is something we will eventually have to deal with even here in Wisconsin. References cited for this were StephenDeangelo.com and HarborsideHealthCenter.com. Thank you.